Now, some people may say, well, you're still too high and move on. Being able to accept that is important as well. But standing by your price, I think, is just as important, and not being able to easily sway. Now, you can change pricing at any point, but I find that we as students and new entrepreneurs just get so stuck on that. And it's like, there's no reason to. Like, you have to test it. You have to see how it's going to work out for your market, for your clientele, so on and so forth.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the More Than a Side Hustle podcast, where we help 9-to-5ers create more impact, income, and influence. My name is Anthony.
And I'm Jhanilka. And thank you guys once again for coming back every Tuesday, listening to us, subscribing, letting us know what you like hearing and what you don't. We appreciate it. What are we talking about today?
Today, we are going to be, she's saying that because I'm on my phone right now.
Yeah, what are you doing?
Today, we'll be talking about pricing pressures of building your business, and we'll give some tips and some things we've learned over the years, but then also some things our students have taught us over the years about ways to price your services and business.
And before we jump into that, I actually have my reviews ready. For those of you that left them, we appreciate it. I'm going to read two because they're pretty short. This one is from Miss Jasmine. It just stretched like that. Said, love listening to them. And the other one is from Brob1220. Love this podcast and everything the Heart Dogs represent. Keep being great and sharing your growth. So thank you very much, Jasmine and Brob1220, for spending time to write us a review. We appreciate that. If you write us a review, we will read it live. Just another way to thank you for tuning in week after week for over 2 years.
Yeah, man, and that's one of the ways that we grow, too. I know it might be one of those things that you're like, well, we're tired of hearing it. But again, in business, if you don't ask for what you want, you will not get in life. If you don't ask what you want for what you want, you may or may not get it. So this is why we ask.
Don't get fed.
And I remember when I wanted like 5 reviews in a couple of days, and I just kept asking for it. And you know what I got? 5 reviews in a couple of days.
Yep.
So we're going to be talking about that, how to get, maybe talk about a little bit about social proof and reviews. But what was the pre-topic for today?
The pre-topic for today, which probably you're either over it, you've seen it, you haven't seen it. I don't know how to pronounce her name. I think her name is Tessa. Could be Tisa. I apologize. This is the woman that said a story about her ex-husband on TikTok. She did 50 TikToks, I think about 10 minutes each TikTok, explaining what happened with their marriage/divorce, if you will. I personally did not watch it. He personally did not watch it. However, if you're on social media, you've heard about it in some capacity, to the point that I heard it was uploaded to YouTube. My mother tapped in, was up till 3 a.m. tapping in. So apparently this story was very captivating, and it spread like wildfire, basically.
And you might be saying, what the hell does that got to do with your podcast? Or why the hell would you even care about that? Because it's super interesting of the age, the digital age that we are in. Mm-hmm. So 50 parts, I am not watching. I didn't even watch the 2.5 hour interview of Cat Williams and Shannon Sharp. I didn't even watch that.
Oh, yeah, me neither. That's too long.
But it shows you the power of content creation and you just sharing your story. So she had 50 parts. And each part, you said, was about 10 minutes or so?
That's what they said. But they were raving about her being such a great storyteller.
That's the purpose of it. So the storytelling part, all right, I don't even know I don't know her background. I know nothing about this lady. I know nothing about the story. I know nothing about
what she did either.
The background of her. But the power of someone being able to post 50 parts of a story, 10-minute, 5-minute segments, whatever it is, and then people being so in tune and ingrained, it's even become we're talking about it here, and we didn't even watch it.
And I think timing is important as well, because she obviously had to realize that it was doing well for her to continue, right? Because you don't just post 50 parts for no reason, right? She's getting her story out, but she obviously realized that people were coming back for more, and she kept giving us more, and we kept eating it up. And now I think part of her story, I don't know if she said she wanted to go to London, to whatever, but she's on her way to London and Paris. She's getting some deals in different places. So I don't think that was her intention, but she was just literally telling her story. That I've seen people say, wait a minute, I got a story to tell too. And you do. You do have a story to tell. Now, it may not be as captivating, but we here to listen.
This realtor said, why the F did I get married? Realtor edition, and he did like a little segment on stories he's heard, and marriage challenges he's heard when people looking for houses and stuff like that. He's like, yo, I'm gonna take what she did and apply it to my own business. And you may be like, well, that's completely different. It might be different, but he already knows there's people watching this type of stuff. He's riding the wave, and he's gonna just like her. She saw it was working, and she showed up again. Last episode we just did
consistency. She was consistent.
Last episode we just did, after recording the entire episode, we uploaded it to our computer and realized the whole thing was blurry.
Now that was the first time in 120 plus episodes, so I can't even really be upset.
I tried something new on my camera and it didn't work out.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
That's it.
I tried
okay.
to do like the
so auto. All you.
I tried to do like the autofocus, but the purpose of that was to say that it didn't stop us. We still posted it.
Yeah.
We still got the audio, and then we still showed up again. We still get to correct what was incorrect last week, and hopefully we don't make the same mistake. But some people were just like, you know what? I ain't gonna do it. Last episode was blurry, or the first episode was blurry. I'm giving up. No, it was like
got one view, or this didn't work out.
Sometimes we post things on social media on YouTube, and it'd be like 15 views. We got like 5,000 subscribers. Sometimes we post things on Instagram.
Y'all sleep?
Well, we got close to 40,000 subscribers, and it'd be like 5 likes. Still got to show up. We still got to put the content out there, and we still have to keep the business going at the end of the day, because it's gonna be pressures no matter what you do, no matter what you start. So she showed you, like, listen, if there is someone watching your story, if you learn one
keep it up.
Keep it up.
So whether it's one view, Tessa, whatever her name is.
Whether it's 1 view or 100,000 views. And I think she had a million on some of the views. I don't know.
But it had to be good numbers for her. So congratulations to her.
Yes.
Maybe we will listen. Probably won't ever listen. It's way too long for me.
I might get the sub notes, because
I have the sub notes. That's how I know some little details here and there. I got sub notes.
I'm not the person that get the sub notes of what happened. I want to know the details after what happened to her. So her life has changed.
Her life has changed. Yeah.
So somebody saw a Netflix deal, and I saw like
they were saying that she should have that. That was not necessarily.
There was like car companies tweeting her, and
right now all I know is she's going to Paris and London. That part I got.
I've been there. What does that mean?
Well, I guess in her story she mentioned it being a dream thing, and I think he used to gaslight and say that he was getting tickets to go and stuff like that, this ex-husband. And so she's gotten a trip there. So that was part of her story. Some place she wanted to go, a dream place.
So as you guys learn, you guys have been here 118 plus episodes. You learn about us. We'll watch the same thing, and my goal is we get different aspects of the same exact thing.
I'll look over the charger. Sorry.
We'll be all right. So we'll get different aspects of the same exact thing. So I'll watch the whole 50 series, and I'm like, oh, what happened in terms of what transpired after, whether it's her money, whether it's her following, whether it's this, the takeaways, and she'll just watch it for the
entertainment.
I
don't need a takeaway.
I don't need to. Yeah, I think so.
I don't have to have a gain from certain things. Yeah, you have to have a gain from everything. I don't have to have a gain from certain things. And we realized that when I'm watching Housewives. He's like, "What are you gaining?" I'm like, "I don't need to gain anything. I may be gaining a nice restaurant that I can visit. I may be gaining a nice outfit. Little things, nothing that's that important."
Me and Andre, when we did our sub episode, it was like, all right, we're gonna talk about the Super Bowl, but it's like, what was the strategy behind the Super Bowl? What are we teaching people outside of just who won, who lost? Because they could watch that on their own. They could go to CBS News and
some people are like me that they just are consuming.
So the good thing is that you get both aspects of an individual here.
Yeah, they're just consuming. They're having a
good
time.
You get the people who are here for a good time and the people who want to be here for a long time.
They want to have
people that are here for a long time. They're here for me because we talking about the long end aspect.
Pause. As if I don't add into that as well. It's just sometimes, not on my mind 24/7. That's just the difference.
That's the difference.
That's it.
Anyway, I want to make sure y'all always have takeaways.
They always got takeaways.
I'm just saying.
Maybe this takeaway for this segment was go listen to that.
No, that is not the segment.
And consistency and showing up and stuff like that.
No matter if it's 1,000 people, 100 people, 1 or 1 million. Just keep showing up. Keep posting.
Oh, a good strategy that I've heard when we'll get into the pricing. You're like, I want to know about pricing. Is that people always say, we are always skeptical. I only have 1,000 followers. I only have this. And they're like, think about if you had 1,000 people in the room. That would be a lot of people. 500 people would be a lot of people. So if you think about it like that, you're well on your way.
So I did this, actually, stay on that for a second, because I did this for the podcast. And I said we hit 75,000 downloads. Mm-hmm. And I looked at the amount of people in different size stadiums, whether it's 10,000, whether it's 20, whether it's 50, whether it's 75. And I was like, had to have 75,000 downloads, or the amount of people inside the stadium is absolutely huge. Because the first thing I posted was like, all right, next step is 100. I was like, no, sometimes you got to sit and recognize where you are today, how far you've come before you think about that next 100. So,
Okay.
pricing, what made you come up with this topic? What made you say we're going to talk about this today? So pricing, what aspect, all of that. Give me the background on it so I can know.
We can do it as a more general, but I probably was talking more about the cleaning business, but we'll mix it up a bit. Mostly because these are questions that we get. There's a lot of questions that come up a lot of times when we speak about the cleaning business. Some of it is just about fear. Some of it is simply just knowledge that most people don't know about, and they want to know how do I do these things? And so I figure we talk about pricing pressures. How do you come up with your prices? It's like the number one question, one of the number one questions that we get, because we get a lot. Maybe there's like a top 10 to 15 that we get. But how do you come up with prices? That is like something people always ask, specifically with the cleaning business. And I would say it will go across if you're doing probably anything, a course, clothing, whatever else that you may be selling, makeup, whatever else may be out there that you're selling, pricing your services for here, yada, yada. But the basic straightforward answer of that is market research is really it. And you're like, well, how do I do market research? So I'll use the cleaning business, for example, just type in cleaning businesses in my area, wherever you are, kind of see what they're pricing for different things. So what they price for a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom versus a 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom. So you want to just kind of look at several of these companies in your area and come up with an average. Now, it won't be perfect. You may say like, well, this person is charging $500 more or 100. I'm over exaggerating, but there's different ranges, but that's why you're coming up with the average. That's why you're doing the legwork of calling, emailing, texting, whatever, to get that information. That's the same way if someone is pricing nails or hair or haircut, they're just starting in the industry. Maybe how much did they pay for a haircut back in the day? Like, that's how they know, based on market research of things they've done, things that they've paid, to know where I should start and work their way up from there. Or at least it's a starting point, basically. So a lot of times when people ask, I'm like, that's a small something that I can give. I don't feel like that's something you should be asking me. I feel like sometimes, because I'm like, that's so simple. But on the other side, I understand if you've never been in the business, sometimes you're just wondering, you want to know all the things. So that's how it came up.
Yeah, I would add to that by also saying what type of market do you want to service? So
that's true.
When we first started with our digital products and services, I didn't know what to price, because there's such a huge range of what you can offer someone, whether it's a $5 product or a $5,000 or a $10,000. I've seen as much as $25, $50, $100,000 products or services that people offer. Mm-hmm. So knowing what type of market you actually want to serve is going to be important, because I know the person that may be willing to spend 5, 10, 15, 20 may not be the same person that's willing to spend 5, 10, 15, 20,000. They are completely different.
Absolutely.
Or even 5 to 1,000. They might be different people. So knowing, what part of the market you want to service. So when we first started, I'll talk about the digital side of things. You want to stay with the cleaning business side?
You could do both. It doesn't matter.
So I'll start with the digital side of things. I know when we first started, I just went off of what other people were doing. So when you talk about market research, especially for like the cleaning business, saying things like, what are other people in your market charging based off of what services you want to provide? So I said, okay, I'm going to start where everybody else started. And then I realized that that might not be ideal, because I might need I would need more volume to get to the goals that I want to get to. Mm-hmm. But then also it was like, okay, if I provide this, and this, can I charge this or that? So market research is a great place to start. What are your competitors charging, or your market? What's the average price of what people are charging? Mm-hmm. But then also deciding where you want your business to be, ideally for your lifestyle too.
Yeah, and I think that also, I think it was important when you said the market that you want to do, because even when we started on this business, we're like, our market is probably for a busy mom. Our market is probably for a younger clientele that can just utilize online, feel comfortable giving their card, that type of stuff. Not to say that we won't go into an older person's home, but that's probably not our target market, right? That's probably not what we want to be doing, spending 20 minutes on the phone just explaining every single thing, which I've done multiple times for a sale. But that's not really our market. But I think you find out necessarily your market when you're in it. especially at the beginning, you just want it all, right? You want all. You're like, I just want to get some money. I want it all. So you may not have a specific target depending on what you're selling. Obviously, I understand it, depending on what you're selling. But the pricing pressures and the questions that come up around that, we'll continue to talk more about that. But I just wanted to speak that overview of the market research. I'm like, all of these companies do it. This is how Amazon finds out, okay, we can add an extra $4 because it's getting delivered to their home, and so on and so forth. If you ever look at the pricing at Amazon versus a Target or something else, it's way more expensive generally. Generally, it's more expensive, but it's more convenient. Right? You don't have to go to the store. You don't have to go and get it. It can come to you between 10 a.m. and 2 a.m. 10 p.m. and 2 a.m.
Is that people will pay for that convenience.
Yeah.
So there is a hidden tax of convenience that we don't even think about that we use.
I always
every single day. Like your hairdresser is a perfect example of that.
Yeah,
where
having to come to me.
If I could sit in my house and you do my hair, I'm going to, like when we were in upstate New York, our barber used to come to our house. And it was super convenient. I don't have to sit in the shop on a Saturday. I don't have to be there for 5-6 hours. I could sit here in my robe.
5-6 hours.
I could sit here in my home. I could watch my TV. I could eat my dinner. I wasn't eating my dinner, but people will pay that hidden tax for convenience, whether you know it or not. So are you making it more convenient for your clients, for your customers to get your services? Are you offering more than a competitor? So when you're doing your market research, deciding, okay, I know that some clients don't want to talk to me on the phone. Having the ability to book me online, pay me online. That's a hidden tax of convenience that people will happily pay for, knowing that you will be able to provide the service that they are wanting. So those are some things that I would also add to that.
So along the lines with pricing, I think that we also get stuck, and this is speaking from experience of speaking with our students.
Hold on. So about your hair right quick. What? How much more do they charge? Do you know how much more they charge versus being at home versus in the store?
Her travel fee, I think it's gone up. So I think it's about an additional $100.
Okay.
To come here versus going to the salon.
So can you break? I actually want to get the timing on that. So you driving to the salon, you driving home.
That would be a total of an hour for me.
So that's an hour of you driving to the salon, you driving home, and then are you more comfortable in your own home?
Yeah, absolutely.
You could get up, you go to your own bathroom. So you're paying for that convenience for number one, you're paying for your time. You got your time back.
Yeah.
So you got about an hour back of your day. So let's say you're
and the way that they have to do it is she drives way further actually to get to me from where she lives.
Hold on, let's not say too much just in case she want to raise her prices on you.
But I mean, people raise prices. I either got to pay it or I say no. That's kind of
think about that convenience fee. Those are things that you have to think about as well. Is like you're getting. Like the convenience is also you getting your time back.
Anything convenient is more money.
Instacart is a perfect example of
they have a yearly fee.
And they tell you how much time you're saving by not going up the grocery aisles, by not asking questions, by not leaving your house. You got to get the cart. You got to put it in the car. You got to drive home. So these are the hidden taxes and luxuries that people will happily pay for your products and services. You just got to be comfortable putting it out there.
So another thing that comes up that I see with our students is people get like so stuck on the pricing part. They're like, people, and so easily swayed, right? So they're like, some clients have said that I'm too expensive. Should I lower my price? And I'm like, you just got in the business a week ago. Like, anybody is going to say your price is too low. It can be $70 for a clean. Someone's going to complain that that's too high regardless. So I think with that pricing pressures, being able to stick by your pricing, as you know, I've done my research. I have all these other things behind as to why I'm priced this way. And can you explain that to someone as well, if needed, right? So for us, when it comes to clients and our cleaning business owners, we tell them, if you need to, you can say, we background check everyone. We make sure that they're paid fairly. We have a guarantee if there's an issue that we will come back out. So kind of explaining why you may be priced a bit higher than others. Now, some people may say, well, you're still too high and move on. Being able to accept that is important as well. But standing by your price, I think, is just as important, and not being able to easily sway. Now, you can change pricing at any point, but I find that we as students and new entrepreneurs just get so stuck on that. And it's like, there's no reason to. Like, you have to test it. You have to see how it's going to work out for your market, for your clientele, so on and so forth.
I remember with the digital side of things, this guy was like, can you lower your prices? Your price is too high. I responded to his email. Actually, I'm raising the price as we speak. And you got to be okay with that. Like you said, you got to stick by your prices.
Every client isn't for you.
You know what you're offering. You know what you're not offering. You know who you're for versus who you're not for. Somebody responds to you telling you to lower your prices. I don't need your services. I don't need you to dictate how I'm running my business, because if you were running your business, I'm not going to tell you
Absolutely not.
to lower your prices. Your prices are too high. Absolutely not. I'm just going to say, you know what? You may not be for me. And I'm going to go to the next direction. I'm going to go to the next, offerer of that service.
But it's always, I mean, I think when I think of the digital side and even just in the cleaning business, it always feels like the audacity of people to tell me what my price should be, of what I feel is worth, what is not. Like you said, I won't tell anybody that. I just won't purchase, and that's fine, unless you ask my feedback, maybe. But other than that, just moving along. There's no reason to be like, oh, you can't charge that, because someone else will pay for it. And that's another reason why I'm saying don't be so quick to sway when someone says, oh, it's too high, because there is someone else that will pay those prices, and be okay with it. We spoke about that in the podcast, that I think when we met with Terry Igioma, is that how you say her name? And she just reminded us that everybody ain't broke. And I think about that all the time. Everybody's pricing and levels are completely different. But one thing I wanted to talk about was with pricing.
Everybody ain't broke.
Everybody ain't broke. It's like, I should write that somewhere. One thing I want to talk about is pricing is about like giving discounts. I find that's something else that is hard to swallow. Now, I am not one, if you've heard me speak before, I'm not a discount person in general. Like, I don't like giving discounts in general. But sometimes there's a need for it, just like the stores. They give discounts all the time when they're trying to get rid of inventory, whatever, so on and so forth.
Why don't you believe in discounts?
I don't know if I don't believe in discounts completely. It's just, I feel like sometimes it diminishes how people think of your quality of service. And that could just be me comparing it to maybe high-end stuff, because I'm like, when I think about Gucci and Louis and all them, they don't do discounts. But I have other stores that I love, like Target and Skims, and they do discounts.
Yeah.
But the perk of doing a discount is the amount of quantity that's coming in, right? So now you're getting people flooding the gates, so you're going to make more money anyway. So I think that's something that I had to learn throughout, that, eventually you will still make the money. You're feeling like, no, well, I'm discounting $100 or I'm discounting this amount is too much. But if you're used to getting 3 people, now you're getting 10, you're making more money by doing the discount. So why not? But that's something to think about.
I would say the other side of it is that then you start to program your buyers to only wait for discounts.
Yeah. So well, if you do it frequently.
If you do it too frequently, you start to train your buyers to only book your services when you have a discount going on. So we know the end of the year, Thanksgiving, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, whenever. Those are going to be your hot times. So your revenue is probably going to go through the roof. But then you've probably discounted yourself out to January. February is probably going to be slower in your business. So we recognize that, especially in our cleaning business, that January is going to be a little bit slower, because a lot of people already spent what their disposable discretionary income is going to be at the end of the year, buying all these discounted products and services. So you have to decide if you're going to try to compete during that time, or if you're going to wait till the new year to kind of run it up where you're going to discount your products and services. So number one, if you do it too often, you start training your buyers to only wait for discounts. And then the other side of it is you might water down or dilute your actual product.
Offer, whatever it is.
It's like, I'm just going to wait to the discount.
Like Fashion Nova.
Oh,
but that's what they're known for. So that's the thing. Like, what you want? If that's what you want to be known for, that's okay.
It goes back to your market research. Do you want to be the Fashion Nova of your industry, where you are
fast fashion? Just, it is what it is.
I was looking. This is why you got to have the stats, and you got to have the products lineup for this. There was someone that said they put out a new product.
Oh,
it was like
Kimmy has done that.
They put out a new product, and it's like, dude's gonna put it out. People buy it, they don't buy it. We put it on the shelf, we take it off the shelf, we discount it, we don't discount it. Like, we just keep going, and this is how they're able to
billion-dollar industries.
They're able to put out so many products, so many services so quickly, because they have the ability to do so. But do you want to be the Fashion Nova where you always have to be creating something new? Like this other podcast I was listening to, he's like, I'm recording 30 episodes this week. What? And I was like, 30 episodes? Like, that doesn't even give your audience time to consume the last episode. Do you just want to be the person that just always puts it out there? Do you want the person that kind of lets people take it in?
Up to you. But that's a lot. That's a lot of talking. First of all, along the same lines, I know I just said like being able to stand by your pricing. Another part of it is throughout your business is being flexible with your pricing. I think especially at the beginning, you're a bit more flexible. Now, when I say if someone says your pricing is too high and you just change it, I wouldn't do that per se, but you can give a discount, right? So if you give a $30 discount, are they willing to still come on board? If you have to give a $70 discount, that's a little, that to me, that's a little different. That's a bit more than flexibility. You're completely bending at this point. So I think that you can be flexible with pricing, especially at the beginning, especially if you're in a service-based business where you're trying to make sure that you get reviews and those type of things. You're like, I'm willing to do these things. And we tell our students that you get the average, you go $20, $25 below market and you're good to go because people will probably utilize you more. Then you get your reviews. You can go from there. So there is a line of standing by your prices, and then there's another line of being flexible, and those things can kind of blur at times. But I think just being mindful in the moment. Like I said, I think $70 to $100 off is not flexible. That's completely just giving away your business and completely, because you want to make money too. So you have to be mindful of that. But a $30 may not be so bad. So.
And it's earlier on when you're testing out your pricing structure, that allows you to see what sticks with your customers more. It's like, are you getting more customers at the $250? Are you getting more customers at the $220? Are you getting more customers at the $240 range? So this allows you to kind of be more flexible, so that you could say, this time, this date, I'm doing this discount. I know I get more customers here. And you can kind of play, you got more wiggle room, especially when you start like, all right, it doesn't work today. I could go ahead and adjust it tomorrow.
Right. And something that we forgot to speak about when we spoke about market research is, at least for the business, or if you're speaking to people, you can sometimes ask them. I think it's important sometimes to ask them, just for our own good to know, like, how much were you willing to pay or how much would you like to pay, just so that we have a sense. Maybe you are, eventually you find out, maybe I am 200 more than most of the market, then I have to check again my market research. Or generally the clients that we're targeting in this area, what was your budget? In this specific city or area, they're wanting this pricing, so maybe we don't target in there anymore. So that, I would say, is all part of market research outside of you just doing your Googles and Yelp and figuring that out. But if you're on the phone with these people, you can simply just ask what their budget was to get a sense of it. If it was $50 off, or was it $150 off from what you were what your prices are and what they are thinking. So,
and then with that, if there is some wiggle room in between, you might be able to meet their prices.
Maybe.
If they're close. If you guys are $150 off, ain't no wiggle room. But
there's no wiggle room.
It's a couple dollars. You're like, oh, I was looking to spend $25 less or $50. You might meet them at the $25 mark, and they'll be like, all right, cool, that's fine. So that's another way to kind of overcome that pricing objection, is just finding out where their budget is.
Along the same lines of pricing, sometimes we realize that things aren't worth the fight, right? Some things are not worth it. And I know that's not something that I can completely tell you this is worth it, this is not. I think it's more of, you find that out in your business. You have this feeling as you're going through it. You kind of talk through it with other people, and you get an understanding of what's worth it and what's not. So sometimes people are saying, well, I think I will need $10 or $20 off because you guys didn't do this. Okay, maybe it's okay. Maybe it's sure, we'll take it off, right? It's not worth me going back and forth with the client that just paid $450. It may not be, right? But then sometimes it is worth it, right? We've had a case where we realized that the person had a pet, and we do charge a fee for a pet. So we called and said, hey, we're going to have to charge a pet fee before we come out to the home. And they completely got rude and nasty. And so we're like, okay, we won't be able to do this clean. And she went on to do a bad review. We never stepped foot in her house, upset that we wouldn't clean her house because of the pet fee. And it was more than that at that point, right? After we spoke to you and heard the things you were saying, it was like, okay, we probably shouldn't be in this person's home. But sometimes it's not worth the fight. And you had a story about that.
And it wasn't, I'll get to that. I know the story you're talking about. And it wasn't even about the pet fee. It was about the person denying the fact that they had a pet and not wanting to pay based on that. So it was like, listen, we already know, you already said it. You kind of slipped and said it. This is what we charged. If we would have got them, we would have saw it.
We may be more lenient.
We still would ask. We already know before we got there what type of person you are. So it was kind of like, let's take a step back, you know. And they was like, oh, they're willing to lose $400 for a $25 pet fee. No, it wasn't even about that.
It was $15 actually.
$15 at the time. And it wasn't even about the pet fees. More along the lines of you are not a truthful person. So along those same lines of sometimes it's okay to let things go. Sometimes it's okay to bend. Sometimes it's okay to fold a little bit. But you have to be okay with that. And it kind of goes to this story about, I don't know if it was Whataburger or Burger King or McDonald's, whatever it was. Excuse me. So anyway, this guy,
Cold? You
it definitely was a little, I had to swallow that cold there.
Disgusting.
I didn't want to go spit it in the middle of the show. Okay. That's disgusting.
All right, let's go.
Apologize, guys. So this guy who was a huge traveler, he used to stop at, let's say, Whataburger every single time he traveled, 4 or 5 times a week for, let's say, 20 years. I mean, that's a lot of Whataburger. But anyway, one day he gets to a register and he orders the same meal and the person's like, yeah, it's going to be like 25 cents for the pickle. And he was like, well, I've never paid for the pickle before. I was like, well, it's a policy, and maybe the person wasn't charging you before, but I'm going to have to charge you now. So he said, okay. He ends up writing a letter to the CEO of whatever franchise it was, and he explained to them that I've been a customer of yours for 20 years, same airport, 4 or 5 times a week. You guys can see my transactions, and I've spent probably thousands of dollars with you guys at this point, and I won't be returning to your restaurant because of this 25-cent pickle. The CEO recognized that the guy was a huge traveler. He actually went to the location and gave a presentation on give the customer the pickle. Because at the end of the day, it's not worth losing a $25,000 customer over a 25-cent pickle. So that's when you have to recognize that it's not worth the battle, and you may be able to get more in the long term versus trying to beat the person over the head in the short term.
But you just don't know in those scenarios. Like, the person was doing their job, right? It's kind of like McDonald's with the sauce. And we'd be like, you ain't paying for the sauce. You should give me more.
Big Mac sauce. I remember when it was free, and then I remember when they started charging.
And then they started charging. It's like, you ain't paying for that. So the person was following the job that they were told, but sometimes we can be flexible, right? So I think that's the point of the story. Sometimes we could be flexible. In that moment, did he know that this client, probably has been going there a lot? Probably not. And was like, oh, I'm gonna just follow my rules. But that just goes back to it's not worth the fight sometimes. So
give the person the pickle. Pause.
Give the person the pickle. What's the pause about that?
Hey, yo.
I mean, the cut up pickle, maybe it won't be an Ayo moment. Something else that we've noticed is like our students getting stuck on things. So at this point, we've been in the business going to be 7 years come November. So we've had thousands of students go by. We've had our students hitting $13+ million in revenue. They're in 42 plus states. They're sharing so much. There's a lot more information out there than when we first started. And I think that with the pricing and decisions with business, sometimes too much information gets people stuck as well. And for example,
being too smart can kind of get you stuck.
Being too smart can get you stuck. And just the overload of information that's out there, you start to think about things that you're not even there yet, or you maybe never consider, which can be a good thing. Like, okay, you don't know what you don't know, but sometimes I feel it holds us back. For example, something that comes up with our community is like, a square feet pricing versus like a standard pricing, meaning do you charge the home based on the size, based on square footage, or do you just do a standard pricing versus based on the amount of bedrooms and bathrooms that they have? That gets students kind of going. And I'm like, I think back up to when we were doing this independently with just us two. And not to say that everybody has to follow this, because you have the information now. We have a whole community on this now. And I'm like, you just have to figure it out. You got to figure out what works for you. There's not going to be a right or wrong way starting out until you do it and you're like, this isn't working. I'm losing out. Let me add this. Or this is priced too high. Let me lower this. You got to just do it. And I think that's important with pricing or entrepreneurship and the business in general. When people are getting into this, trust yourself with things. Like, I find that people aren't trusting themselves to make certain decisions. We're talking about pricing, so I'm going to stick to that, but make certain decisions when it comes to business.
Yeah, with that one, Like we hear it all the time. Most of the time, our students' first cleaning, they always come back and say, I should have charged more. Number one, they said they should have charged more because the person was just so gun-ho on the price. Probably because you undercut yourself because you were nervous about getting your first client. The other reason people come back and say, I should have charged more is because it was probably more work for their cleaner than what they had expected.
Right.
So they underpriced themselves because they was just so gun-ho to get that first customer, but it not only hurts them, it also hurts their cleaner as well. And then you learn. You let the cleaner know, you let the team know, you let whoever's, working with you know that, all right, we learned, I take your feedback, I probably should have charged this. Now I know I can be a little bit more confident when I'm talking to someone over the phone based on my experience that, okay, I charged this the first time, I'm going to charge this the second time. And you go in and you make that adjustment.
Live and learn.
The square footage versus the standard versus all of that stuff, yes, it's fantastic to understand, but it's even more important for you to know, just go out, try it, and then come back and adjust as you see fit. Because it won't be right the first time. I guarantee the first cleaning,
the first 3, 5, who knows?
Couple cleanings you do will not go as planned. They won't be perfect, and you might, even if they do go well and there's no issues, you might come back and say, you know what, I could have done this better, or this could have changed, or this pricing structure might need to be adjusted. So I would always say it doesn't have to be perfect, but as long as you get it done, that's better than not doing anything.
Yeah, you live and you learn through the experiences. You live and you learn, and you decide what I need to add on, what I need to take on. Do I want to do laundry? Do I want to scrub walls? Like all these things that I understand people try to get up front. But I think part of the business and growing and knowing your business is that I'm not going to get everything right at the beginning, and that's okay. I'll just change it for next time. That's the worst that can happen. I priced too low one time. I'll raise the price next time and keep raising it until it makes sense, so on and so forth, lowering it until it makes sense. So, the biggest thing I say to my students all the time is pricing can be changed in seconds, literally seconds. With the system that we use, it can take seconds to change it. So we know it's your first, most people, not everyone. We know it's most people first business, and you want to get it all right, but you won't. I'm here to tell you, you won't. And that's totally okay. And pricing can fluctuate with market, who you're trying to target, the areas that you're in, the type of customer or clientele that you want. Maybe you're like, I just want to get customers in, so I'm really going to be on the lower side. And that's okay too. Maybe I want to focus on additional services, not really just residential. And that's okay too. But this, the podcast and things that we share is really to help you through some things. But ultimately, it's your business and you make those decisions.
Yeah. Even with Cleaning Business University, if you guys want to start and scale a remote cleaning business without having to clean houses, check out Cleaning Business University. If any of this resonated with you, we have hundreds, thousands of students. They've done over $13 million. And if you want to start something outside your 9 to 5, this might be ideal for you. But then also with that, we've entertained the pricing structure on that numerous times.
Yeah, multiple conversations.
I'm talking about, we're having conversations today on what the new pricing structure for the new thing is going to be. And it will always be changing based on the market, based on the time, based on a recession, based on the pandemic, based on your mood, based on your coaches.
Listen, groceries going up, oil's going up. Every time we change it, we looking, something new is happening.
Something new is going to happen. So don't be afraid to just, price things and just try them and adjust as you see fit based on, where you are today. But then also don't think about it just today. Think about where you want to be tomorrow. So,
and the money that you want to make from it. We didn't really get into that, but that kind of, you reverse engineer that as well. Like, what am I looking to make? How much I'm looking away to make from each clean or from each product that I sell or whatever the case may be. After my marketing and all the expenses, that's just as important.
So let me give you guys this example that I always give on my,
your Webbies?
My Webby. What is a Webby, babe?
A webinar.
So, if you want to make $10,000, you could charge 200. You could charge 40 people $250, right?
For the month, right?
For the month.
Okay.
Or you could charge 100 people $100. Now, with a service like cleaning, would you rather have 100 clients at $100 or 40 clients at $250? Who do you think is going to give you more headaches?
Surprise. It's going to be the people that you're charging $100. That's going to give you more headaches. I'm telling you right now.
So you have to figure out, what's a good medium for yourself and your business, because I'd rather have 250 clients. I'd rather have 40 clients paying $250 than 100 clients at $100 because
more clients, more headaches.
those are more emails, those are more touch points, those are more reservations, those are more. There's a lot more room for mistakes there, a lot more room for error. Things are getting missed versus me focusing on those 40 clients at the $250 mark. There is less. I got less that I got to focus on. I got to just focus on those people, getting them in, getting them out, making sure they're happy. So, do you want 40 clients at $250 or 100 at $100? Both of them are going to give you $10,000. You got to decide how you want to get there.
So I hope you got something from this podcast, as we want to make sure you have takeaways at all times. But these are just some of the pricing pressures that we see, that we face when speaking to students, when speaking to people, when you guys jump on IG Lives or webinars or YouTubes and have questions for us. But once again, thank you for tapping in week after week. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube. We have some big goals on growing that this year. I mean, every year, but we want to continue to really grow it and see where it can go. So thank you for tuning in again.
And if you watch this episode to the end, comment I finished on the YouTube to let me know, and we can respond to your comments there. So we'll see you guys next time.
Take care.
Peace.